Hello friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Raymond Nicolet Trust Podcast. My name is Gavrilo Nikolic, and every month I bring you inspiring conversations about the future of education, science and philanthropy from world top academics, scientists, Nobel Prize winners and philanthropists. My guest today is Mary Radenkovic. She is a founder and designer of Lavishly Appointed. Lavishly Appointed is the luxury women's brand created for true summer lovers with unique bikinis designed with jewels and semi-precious stones. Mary's mission is to combine the finest precious stones and exotic accessories from diverse places around the world in order to make unique, irresistible and sexy swimwear and beach accessories. Next to her daily work, Mary is a passionate philanthropist and actively engaged in Raymond Nicolet Trust. If you're curious to learn how to build luxury women's brand from the ground up, as well as learn how to engage further with Mary, you need to listen to this episode. In just a moment, the one and only Mary Radenkovic. Mary, welcome to the RNT podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Let us start with basics. What do you do for a living?
Let's reverse to this basic question because I'm passionate about what I do and I'm lucky to live of what I love. I like to say that I am entrepreneur in fashion and art.
That's quite an interesting and let's say short definition of what you do.
Yes, but I will continue after to explain in more details.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, but you caught me by surprise there. Usually when I ask this question, people start telling a longer story. So I kind of laid back and expected that you continue saying what you do for a living for a couple of minutes. So, Mary, you are a designer. You're a fashionist, as you already told us, and you have created an interesting brand called Lavishly Appointed. How did you come up with an idea to create this brand?
Actually, after a lot of work in the fashion industry, creating my own brand was a natural thing to do. As I love traveling and sea and the ocean life, resort was, let's say, quite logical decision, and that's my brand, Lavishly Appointed.
Can you tell us what hides behind Lavishly Appointed? How did you come up with the idea for the name?
That's a quite funny story. My name Mary is quite an old name. Some nurseries here and even Queen wore that name. So it was not suitable for a feminine and unique brand. And the Lavishly Appointed is my pseudonym that represents me and my brand as well. It's a posh, irresistible, unique, and quite exclusive lifestyle. Lavishly Appointed is more than just dressing well, it's an attitude and message. And I think that my brand really show one message and one attitude and one different way of living and viewing of life.
Why did you focus on luxury woman brand? Did you ever think about focusing on any other kinds of brands, not only for women, but let's say also for men or maybe for children?
Since I started working, I was always in women's wear. That's happened accidentally, but we will expand to luxury menswear. That's new in our brand. And what about why luxury? I don't know. I think my brand is, let's say, affordable luxury. And I think that all of us want to have something like that.
I could not argue about that. Can you tell us more about the design part of your brand? How do you design unique bikinis combined with jewels and semi-precious stones? I mean, when I was preparing myself for recording this episode, when I was reading about what you do, I was like, okay, it's like swimwear, bikinis, and it was like combined with jewels and semi-precious stones. That's quite interesting. How do you design this? How the process looks like when you want to design your piece of bikini or swimwear?
First, to thank you that you explore my brand a little bit. And as someone who finished university in art, poetry, and design, I accept fashion as an artistic movement. I believe that fashion can help in changing the world, spread the message, and be bigger than mass production and cheap products that we have at the moment. also mixing different parts of design and artists are always inspiring, and they gave me a more idea and opened my design interaction with all other artists, and my viewing of art and design, I think, become much better and better quality.
Why do you come up with the idea to mix jewels and semi-precious stones?
Yes, because that's artistic movement. That's collaboration. That's a collaboration with different artists. So it's always inspiring.
How does your supply chain work? Could you walk us through how production of your products works?
Yes, that's a really long long path. But first comes the idea. That's something that idea is, let's say, most important thing.
Let me interrupt you there for a second
Yes.
while you walk us through. So I think it makes sense that I also ask you some smaller questions in between so we could explain to the audience listening to this who are maybe not familiar like I am, not familiar with how the fashion industry works and how your supply chain works. So you have an idea. How do you put idea on paper? How do you design your
What
bikinis?
is the first comes the idea, and then I trying to find the right pattern that how I drawing on paper, and I giving my drawing to a right pattern maker. Then I exploring materials, details, and I details I would use all around the globe. I searching for idea all around the globe details, and then I share that with my amazing team. As I have opened my own manufacturing company, I control the quality and can tell that every garment is made with love, passion, and quality handmade work. Our quality is amazing because they are boutique products. And I truly trust that my clients exactly know for what they are paying. And that's a really long path, and it's unique path. It's a designer path. It's a really different that I said I already mentioned this cheap product, massive production that this new speed time of living brought to us.
So you mentioned that you sell boutique products. Can you explain more to people who are not aware what boutique products are, what boutique products are?
Yes, firstly, the idea should be unique. Then all my let's say team must be very creative. Then let I said my manufacturing company. I really my workers are women who really work for a normal amount of money. I talking about all worker rights. I talking about that is not made by small children and in good environment. I talking about sustainability, about talking that I have solar panel in my production company, and we really put in that products all good things that we would like to send message to our buyers. First, materials are quite quality materials, sustainable materials. Second, jewelry is made by artists, or it's a special jewelry that we also buying in Europe. It's nickel free, allergic free, and we are plastic free brand. That's very important because our story, our brand story, and our logo, we are really into Save Ocean campaign. So 20% of our products with goldfish going to some non-charity organization who saving ocean life and sea and is against plastic pollution.
That's really great. That's really great to
It
hear.
is because that's really sounds maybe too much, and some people don't believe in that story. But really, fashion. I really now repeat myself that fashion needs to send some messages. Fashion is part of art, and I don't like when people put the fashion on the lowest level. And now really supporting this idea: buy better quality and buy less. That's a really good motto to continue to live and how to promote fashion. Buy less, buy better.
I could not agree more with you, especially because we have all as a humanity been seeing trends for the last 20 years that you could basically now go to, let's call them like brands that are pretty much selling like cheap clothes. and we all know how they are produced. And
Absolutely, we have so sad story behind that. Bad things for our environment. So much bad things going on behind that. And what we get, we're putting cheap things in our life, in our house. We're fooling with that energy, and it's not good. It's not good. Actually, it's not good. I agree with you. 20 years ago, that was much better, and I think that life has a circles, and we should back in that period that people know exactly what they are buying, and people should buy less and better quality.
Mary, we cannot talk about the fashion industry without mentioning some, let's say, interesting subjects, let's call them like that, or painful subjects maybe for some, but definitely not for you. Um, what are your thoughts about the way clothes are manufactured? We all know, and we mentioned all the examples of the companies using cheap labor in East Asia, potentially Africa, or Far East in general. So, what is your opinion about that? Did you experience? Were you ever in the factories manufacturing clothes for the Western markets where you could see definitely something we all have seen in the media recently about the, let's say, bad conditions in which people work, which clothes are made, how those production facilities pollute the environment, etc., etc. Can you maybe share some thoughts about that with us?
Yes, I think that high fashion is all against about that. That's something that we would like to change. That in all art part, like in art, you have a lot of fake things that happen in the fashion as well. So I call that fake fashion. And I really think that is a lot of bad story behind that. And I really pushing that woman improvement. I pushing that equality, not because I want to be fashionable. That is, we really need to fight for better planet and better life. And I think that everything will be better than in each segment, everything going right. That's the point.
Couldn't agree more with you. So you mentioned that you also own a production facility, that you are also in the manufacturing business.
And I opened manufacturing. That's why I realized that I want to have my own manufacturing company. And I said to all my team that we are like a team. It's we should have good energy. We should be all very satisfied, coming with happiness to work together. We bring products to our client, and I really think that all my workers are very happy working with me, and I am also very happy working with them. And it's as I said, that's boutique production, that each part is, we have a lot of handmade work, we have a lot of really a lot of pieces that really make with handmade work, with passion, love, in slow process of making, not harm the environment, and we not harm the environment. That's very very important things. We not harm environment.
You touch base on the multiple subjects there, bearing in mind that you are developing, as you said, boutique products, and for that reason, you also need to take account of a manufacturing process that is potentially slower than when you make products for big brands, where you actually need to take into account volume and not only the quality or the let's say slow approach when it comes to producing these. Maybe at this stage, we could focus more on how the manufacturing looks like into your production facility, and is the way you get products to the end customer influenced in the end of the day by the speed of how your workers are producing products and by the way they are delivered from manufacturing facility to them directly?
Actually, I think that I am really on the right path, and it's not. I saw this kind of production in Dior, in a very exclusive, large company, and they decided to have so many small boutique production, not one big, because this small boutique production giving a better communication between the people, and better better production. So it's just not my idea. I also follow some exclusive brand who really doing well.
We discussed a bit how you bring the products to customers. We discussed a bit manufacturing in fashion industry. But now if I would ask you, what are the biggest challenges fashion designers face especially young fashion designers when they start their careers, what would you say are the biggest challenges?
That's a very very good question, because now I getting so many inquiries for young people, and they asking me for advice. And what is the very very that's a very very good question. Unfortunately, I think the moment when you realize that it's not just about talent and ideas in this work, talent is necessary but not enough. We need to be real entrepreneurs and to be able to expand our skills and be ready to learn. Fashion, like a life, is changing very, very fast. And that's entrepreneurial way of thinking. It's really, you need to be whole packaging. You need to know everything. You need to be involved in everything and really ready to learn each second, each day. And that is really true. It's not just like philosophy. If you go like that or stop working, it's not middle.
Indeed, I fully agree with you. So it's a real challenge because when you look at the fashion industry, you can buy clothes for less than £1, or you
Absolutely.
can buy it for thousands of pounds. So the thing is, you need to take account of how supply chain is diversified, how the market is diversified, and that you have different customers, and that customers are willing to pay for different price tags, if you know what I mean.
And also if you take a look who is now upcoming brand, it's all we know for each of that brand who is behind the brand. That's really important. Also, I realized that first of all I was putting in the front my brand. Then I realized that my clients, my friends, people who knows me or even they don't know me, they want to see who is behind the brand. And that's why I thinking to be entrepreneur, to be amazing person, to be complete person who educate himself, who is a good example. It's very good. And then you staying behind your brand and you can really have trustful story and people will trust you.
That's a really good word you just mentioned. It's trust. I think everything is now about the trust, and people are in general, because of the age in which we are living, where you can pretty much double check everything on the internet. It's now the other question if the veracity of information you can check on the internet is correct or not. But the problem is in general that people have become more untrustworthy, and they're really looking at not only at brands, but they're looking at ambassadors of brands. And if they that is something you mentioned correctly before, if you have great clients who are satisfied, they're going to be your ambassadors long term, and they're going to be present when you need them, and to present your brand in the right way so you could attract even more clients who are going to be satisfied.
Yes, that's I agree absolutely.
Mary, we cannot continue our story about the fashion industry without mentioning COVID pandemic. Can you tell us more about how did COVID pandemic impacted your work?
Actually, and before COVID, fashion comes to a level where a change was needed. And COVID has accelerated that. And actually, I'm sorry for what happened to the planet, but that was allowed me to come up with new strategies. I had a plenty of time to think and planning and to making a new strategies. That and also now is how to be back. That's very important. I think that's also your second question, but I want to continue because how to start fashion again and put fashion where it should be. In the end, during this period, we realized how art, fashion, design, social life, it is important for humans, and that make a difference who we are.
Fully agree with you. So I think COVID provided us all with an opportunity to reflect on ourselves, and to revisit the ideas we had in back of our pockets, as I would like to say, not only in back of our minds, and to make sure that what we work on has a purpose moving forward. Because we're all stuck in our homes, in some countries more, in some countries less. But the point was that we had time to think, which we did not have time so much before, because we were stuck into daily business, working on daily stuff, and not having opportunity to reflect, think, and then act.
Yes, and we start to live like biologically, just biologically, and I think it's very important that we realize how we are intellectual human beings, how we need social life and this intellectual thing.
Fully agree with you. Mary, if I would ask you what are the biggest challenges fashion sector is currently facing, what would you say?
Actually, I'm now, having a lot of meetings with so many people from fashion industry, and I am very sad that a huge fashion company are on hold, and they searching for investors, and they don't know what to do in the future time, and that's a huge challenge, how to start fashion again and put fashion where it should be.
Do you think people are lacking ideas, or it's pretty much that customers do not know what to do about the entire fashion, what to wear? I mean, just to give you a plastic example, so I always quote, or let's say maybe quote is a bad word, but I always make an example out of Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook.
Mhm.
That guy wears the same jeans, the same shirt every day. So he has like a pair of same colored t-shirts in his wardrobe. And the thing is that what I see personally at the work level, in the sector where I work, that people are kind of overwhelmed with everything that fashion is offering them. So they're looking for something simple, so they do not need to think about what I'm going to wear tomorrow. Where do you think the fashion of the future fits with, like, let's say, this trend, especially in young men, that they're thinking about? Okay, maybe there is no need for me to be dressed in some fancy way, but rather to be dressed in a way that represents me, than any other brands that I would normally wear in any other circumstances.
I like simple things, and actually, it's most difficult to design simple, good things, but also simple things are not cheap. I think that Mark knows what he's wearing, and I seeing amazing quality of what he's wearing, and I think that he's is really great shopper. It's not unfair, He just want to have recognized style. That's very important. Like each of us like some special color, some special style, and that's fashion identity. And I agree with fashion identity because that's I like that people are not the same, but I think that he's great shopper. Simple doesn't mean it's cheap, and simple doesn't mean that he's not a great shopper.
You really share the great, let's say, things in just a couple of sentences. I think that is the key word: simple and simplicity. And I think people are in a world where we are overwhelmed with everything, because in one day we actually know more, or we receive more information than our ancestors used to receive in their lifetime. So I think in the end of the day, people want simple. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the biggest challenge, not only for fashion industry, but in general, is to make any product consumer is going to buy simple, because people want simple stuff. They do not want anything else now, because they are overwhelmed when they even want to think about, let's say, buying another pair of jeans, unless it's quite simple.
I agree with you, but simple doesn't mean should be boring. Simple can be very interesting.
That is why we have you. So you can design great stuff that are quite simple, and people are very willing to wear that.
Absolutely, yes.
Mary, let us take a different turn in our conversation. We discussed a lot about fashion sector and your activities, and thank you very much for sharing insights from the fashion industry and letting us know how for you these challenging times are going on. But next to your work as a fashion designer and running a company, you're also a passionate philanthropist. Why do you think philanthropy is important?
Let's say first, I grew up in a family where my mother gave her whole life in philanthropy work. It was very sensitive. I grew up and I saw so many stories, and I realized that I can be some this kind of worker in that sector, but I realized that I would like to help all my life. Uh, I realize that a small act from us can be bigger for someone else. And we need to bring awareness to a higher level. This is important because the planets need a change, like we talk until now, and making people and the planet better is a circle that improves the energy. And it is important that we care more about each other. That is why I would advise young people to start with a small movement, because the giver is always the receiver, and happiness is a circle. That's my opinion.
Wow, this really blew me away. So the happiness is circle. Could not agree more with you. So I think, uh, in general, people are thinking about giving to give something, so you could have some return, not from the person to which you are giving, but from, let's say, universe, God, or someone else. But I think that the purpose in giving is like giving to give, because if you could learn something from the greatest philanthropist of all times, is that the biggest purpose the one could find in life is to find a way to serve others. And I think that is why we all need to start thinking more in terms of giving to give, rather than to give to have something in return.
Yes, and absolutely. And loneliness become a new sickness of 21st and 22nd century, and that's kind of philanthropy work. It cannot be just material. It's not necessary to be materialistic, but if you can give, something, small act from us can be bigger for someone else.
How would you advise young people to approach philanthropy? Why it is important to give back to those who do not have enough?
There is so many way, and you can start to look after some kids without parents, and maybe take once a week to the cinema. That's the smallest thing that you can do, and also start with a small movement, and you will find, in art, in a lot of segment, you can help to be the people. There is so many things now. There is so many nice charity organization that you can be involved and help on some way.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
No, really, it's not. Yes, I was Miss a lot of years ago, but that's that story. Save the world, no wars. It is true. We have to believe in that. We have to believe in better world.
Mary, what are your personal achievements you're currently most proud of?
Aside from all my business and fashion activities, I am most proud of how I raised my two daughters that have become amazing girls.
And let us look towards the future. What are your future goals? What would you like to achieve further in the future?
Oh, I have so many, many exciting fashion things that going on, including the men's fashion, more women's collection through the years, new fabulous fashion project worldwide that I mentioned, and I would personally love to learn another language on top of the three I already do, and get back to my painting hobby.
Really interesting. Hope next time when we talk, you're going to tell me more about your painting hobby.
Oh, next time, next time.
Mary, any last words? Anything else you would like to mention?
Before this summer, I want to wish you to live, love life, and enjoy, and never stop working on yourself. Enjoy your summer and be lavishly appointed.
Mary, thank you very much for being my guest in the RNT podcast. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll speak soon.
Thank you for having me again.